Hello, everybody. Well, today on what is it, March 30th? Or is it March 31st? Hold on one second. Let me look at my schedule really quick. Okay. It would appear that today is indeed March 30th. Well, what do you know? And boy, oh boy, what a March 30th it was. I'd say we get down to business and talk about how it ultimately went. Let me read out exactly what happened really quick. Then this is the first part, not the whole day. So I woke up and drank 3 cups of water before going back to sleep again. I did manage to do the drinking water as soon as I woke up, a habit that I wanted to establish, so that was cool. I continued sleeping all the way up until 9 a.m., around 9:30, of which I was asked by my mom to move my car out of the way. So I did that. She left for work. I told her goodbye and that I love her. And then after that, I decided to pour a bowl of oatmeal and granola with blueberries in it, and brown sugar, and whole fat milk. And I decided to watch a new Digital Foundry Direct that recently released. What happened in this Direct? Well, it was basically an update on DLSS being added to the Switch 2 version of Fallout 4. So basically, the gains are you get an additional 2 frames per second on performance mode, and the game looks slightly cleaner in performance mode versus in went before where it was running at a much lower resolution. So that's nice. Other things they talked about, I guess they talked about Jensen Wong's opinions on people's reaction to the DLSS 5 fiasco. Ultimately, it was basically just, it was corporate gobbledygook. I don't exactly remember what he said, but from what I remember, it was just like, well, some things aren't going to be to people's tastes, and that's fine, but as long as the developers and the publishers consent to DLSS 5 being used in the technology, then it should be a-okay. So I think that's pretty much what he said. So yeah. And then they were talking about how the new Forza game will have more ray tracing technology in it, which looks nice. I mean, I've never played a Forza game. I've primarily played on Nintendo and Sony consoles my whole life, and dabbled a bit in PC here and there. And I know PC is better because it gives you more, options, and it doesn't tie you to an online store, and you're allowed to do mods and form deeper communities and things like that. Like I understand, but I primarily gamed on console because I use my PC for learning to draw and edit, and I don't know, I feel like also giving it the gaming thing. I mean, sure, I could do that, but I kind of like having dedicated spaces for one's for entertainment and one's for learning. But that's just me. That might be a silly reason, but that's my reason. Moving along, I baked the last of the chocolate chip cookies and ate 2 of them. And then I had an hour-long conversation with my mom. We had a lot interesting discussions that were pretty cool. And then I decided to research plasma donation advice around 12 because I was getting curious about if I was a consistent donor for blood plasma, what would I need to look out for? And what I found out from Google's Gemini was pretty much you need to keep your electrolyte levels high, you need to keep your protein levels high, you need to eat something that's rich in electrolytes before leaving for your session, and it also would be a good idea to have like a small protein snack, like a hard-boiled egg, before leaving. Um, and yeah, and then it got me curious about like, oh yeah, what about the vitamins that I need, like in order to get the full benefit of those vitamins? Like, is there optimal times to take them or whatnot? Because I normally take my multivitamin D3, K2, and fish oil tablet along with my magnesium pills, but all at the same time. And Google basically said that it is more recommended to have the multivitamin D3, K2, and fish oil after a meal during breakfast or lunch. And the reason why is because it allows more time and space for those vitamins and minerals to properly get absorbed into the body, which will allow you better immune system and more stable energy. Whereas having the magnesium late at night will allow the magnesium to really, affect you in a way where it'll properly absorb and put your muscles in a relaxed state, but also give you a vital nutrient that your body can't produce. So lots of really good information that I dug with Google Gemini over like a good hour. And then eventually I decided I would then do my Brain Jam session for 30 minutes. And that was around like 1:30. Yeah, after I did my session, which pretty much included drawing a row of cans in a perspective shot, 3 rows of cans to be specific, I got a call from my mom letting me know that she was on her way back. And coincidentally, it happened to be the exact same time that I was almost done with my work. So she was 8 minutes away. I had 8 minutes left on my Brain Jam session. So I thought that was a pretty interesting detail to put in there. She said she went to the store and she brought food, and so it was like, okay, so I'll help her bring it out. So she arrived. Me and my sister went out. We brought the food in. There was a lot of good stuff. There was like lunch meat. There was hot dogs. There was cinnamon crunch muffins. It was quite a smorgasbord indeed. After that, we just had some family time. My mom made me and her a sandwich. My sister cut open a watermelon. We enjoyed each other's company. And then after that, I realized I needed to get ready for work. So I took a shower. I I went. I got dressed and put on my deodorant and comb my hair. I didn't put on my moisture cream. I would later find out that I would regret this, and I'll tell you why in a bit. But I put everything I needed in my pockets, and then I left for work. When I arrived, I greeted everyone. I punched in for the day, and I checked the schedule. I found out that I was on sweeps all day, as per usual, for a while now. So I immediately got started. I put on the vest, and I was about to go do my things, but then there was like an influx of customers, so I decided to stick around in the front and help bag for the cashiers. And after a while, I was asked to do a takeout delivery. So I did a takeout delivery. I brought that out, and yeah, it went well. Went back in, and then there was another takeout delivery that was getting revved up. So I decided to get ready for that one. So I grabbed one of the paper bags that was up top, and when I was bringing it down, it just the stuff inside of it broke through the paper bag and it fell on the floor. And the thing was that there was a glass salsa jar that was in there, so that fell on the floor and immediately broke. And there was salsa and glass everywhere. So I immediately had to get into action. Of course, the customers waiting for their order. So one of my coworkers decided to replace the items that were covered in the salsa and put them in a fresh, clean bag. And I decided to wipe away the salsa so it wouldn't be on the floor. So that was an unexpected little hiccup on the journey, but it was very quickly rectified, though. So yeah, sometimes accidents happen, and you just gotta roll with it. So yeah. After that, I decided to start my sweeping duties. I swept produce. I swept the break room. I swept the store floor. I checked for the bathrooms to see if they needed refills on toilet paper, toilet seat covers, or paper towels. And pretty much did that for a while before I started to notice there was like a burning sensation on my forehead. So I went to check the mirror um, in the um, in the break in the break room bathroom, and it looked like there was like a red, like tender spot on my forehead. So I was like, "Oh my gosh, what do I do?" So I decided to take some moisture cream that we have in the break room that I got a while back, like 2 or 3 years ago, and I put that on my face. And at first it burned, but after a while the burning subsided, and then I felt much better. After that, I continued my sweeping duties, where I just continued sweeping the floors, um, break room, produce store for like a good like 4 hours, yeah, or 3 hours actually. Well, I did start on the first hour, so really 4 hours. But there was a bit of a thing with bagging and then taking the order out, and then that one like take out accident. But you know what I mean. After my first 4 hours, I punched out for lunch, and when I punched out for lunch, I immediately went upstairs. I got my sub sandwich. I decided to put even more mayonnaise and mustard, both at the top and bottom. Yesterday, I only put mayonnaise and mustard and one packet on the top. So I thought that evenly divvying it up would make for a better sandwich. It did, but for some reason, the mustard and mayonnaise wasn't as creamy as I would have liked. So that's kind of a bummer. But yeah, I had the sandwich. It was still good. It was an Italian sub, so it had a nice flavor to it. Um, you know, 1/5 of it, anyways. And I had 17 Pringle chips, barbecue flavored, and one A&W Zero Sugar 16-ounce bottle. As I was eating this meal, I was watching a new Jesse Michaels video where he was interviewing a current NASA chief officer who is studying anti-gravity and new ways of propulsion. And I'm not going to pretend like I know what like the guy was talking about. I was watching it at 3x speed so I could get as much information as possible. Before needing to return to work. But yeah, what he was saying on top of the fast speed was like it made me go cross-eyed. It was like, what the heck is going on? I don't understand any of this. This is crazy. But I mean, I got a sense where I was like, I kind of understand where you're coming from, but at the same time, I'm like so disconnected with how like any of the science works that it just kind of comes off as Greek to me, I guess. But either way, it was it's interesting to hear like someone who's really intelligent like talk about something this important. I think anti-gravitational technology, if figured out and implemented in modern society, would help us be free of things like, oil and gasoline. We could just instead, you know, use this cool new system of propulsion, and I think that'd be awesome. Right now we just use insane amounts of oil, and it's like, I mean, the reliance on oil is clearly it's not great because, well, with the current conflict right now with that Strait of Hormuz deal and the rise in gasoline prices, it shows that like having to rely on something that could easily be swooped away from you know, from another party would isn't such a good thing to have. It seems more like a liability. So if there's like an alternate means of energy that doesn't rely on like using crude oil and is simply just like clean, free, and endless, like, that would be great. I'd be down for that. Um, but anywho, after watching it for a while, one of my coworkers stopped by. And we had a conversation about like the new Harry Potter. It was pretty interesting, our conversation. Um, yeah, basically, my coworker said they're excited that it's going to be more of a straightforward adaptation of the books, and that it he's hoping that it really sticks a landing. So yeah, pretty cool. Then I went downstairs. I punched back in for work. I immediately got started on my closing duties, starting with trash. And when I needed the trash gate or the back gate unlocked, I walked up to the office. I asked one of my co-managers. They immediately helped me with the office trash, as well as going out to the back and unlocking the trash. In fact, as I was about to get the trash, but then I realized I need to ask for help from one of the co-managers. There was another coworker who came up, who worked in another department. I'd say either the deli or the bakery department, either one, and they were in need of the gate being open too. So I was coming in there to help out. Funny thing was, when I let the manager know, it was like immediately a few seconds afterwards, he got a call from the person waiting to ask if he was coming. So yeah, it took me a while though, because I needed to take out the office trash first before I could take the rest of the trash out. But it worked out. Once the gate was open, we brought our trash in near the large trash bin. I opened the lid up with my trash opening stick, and then we threw everything in there, and we went back up. But then I realized there was some more trash that was next to the receiver door that still needed to be taken out. And so I had to let my co-manager know so he didn't close the door. So he kept it open for me so I could take that out. Took that out, and when I was done with that, I um, went off to do my other closing chores, which included bringing 4 boxes of paper bags up to the front so I could refill the bags in the front. Oh, and there was one funny interaction I almost forgot to mention. During my first half of my shift, there was a coworker who was a cashier that I worked with. I asked them, if you were an animal, what animal would you be? And they said, oh, I'd be an elephant. And then I asked why, and they said, well, if like there was a customer I didn't like, I just use my like elephant trunk to give them a what for, and I was like, whoa. But then I was like, wait, what if I generated it with like Sora? So I generated this silly elephant clip with Sora, and I showed it to him, and he thought it was funny, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, but then when I was refilling bags, helping bag with one of my other coworkers, I asked them what animal they would be. They said monkey, and I asked them, "Ooh, what would you do in front of like a customer?" And then they said like, "Oh, I would probably like lose my head and go bananas." And I said, "Ooh, would you be interested in me generating that idea with a Sora too?" And they were like, "Nah, I'm not." And the reason why is because the person I was talking to, they are going to college for art right now, for art design, and you know, AI in the art world is pretty much like a, you know, what do you call that? A swear, a blasphemous word, icky word, I guess, something like that. But ultimately, yeah, I don't blame artists for finding it disgusting because, basically the way AI works is it's fed a bunch of previously existing data, like, pre-existing artwork and things of that nature, to recreate something that's similar. Um, in a way, it's kind of like how a human is trying to imitate a style of an artist they like. So they look at the artist's style and they try to draw similar to how that artist draws. But in this case, it's like there's no human involved. It's just a bunch of tech nerds feeding a robot data. And then people who use that robot write prompts and see what they could come up with. Um, I mean, and I get it. Like, ooh, it's a plagiarism machine and all. Um, the reason why I was so like why I'm interested in that AI video generation is that when you're able to communicate an idea or like a short film or in a way that makes it easier to demonstrate what you're talking about, I think it could be a really great tool. I just think it depends on how you use it. Like if you just let the AI generate everything without any input on the camera angles or what the characters are doing or what they're supposed to be saying. Like with if the less intent in a video generation, the more sloppy it is. But if there is intent and there's actual effort being done to make something that feels like there's like heart and soul behind it, then I think you have something that's actually really good. I mean, at the end of the day, I see it as a tool. I mean, and also the Supreme Court did rule that anything AI generated cannot be copywritten because it's kind of the world's biggest plagiarist, or it is the world's biggest plagiarist. So you know, I think that should give artists maybe soothingness. Like they should feel soothed when they hear that because they're like, oh, great. Now my art's not going to be replaced because my art can still be copyrighted because it originally came from me and no one else. So with that in mind, I just see stuff like this AI video generation, AI image generation is just a way of demonstrating or documenting things in a way that makes for an easier way to demonstrate what you're talking about or just for giggles and kicks, you know? Like I don't see it as something that's going to replace everyone. I see it more as oh, it's a tool that's just as destructive or as useful as you make it. That's my opinion. But anyways, I got carried away, didn't I? Moving along, after 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 that discussion with my coworker, I continued. Different cashier, by the way. I filled the bags. I wiped down every single check stand. Um, and my one of my co-closers, he brought in the carts and closed produce blinds, which I was very grateful for. Um, yeah, and then the end of the day arrived. We kind of joked about the last guy who was there, thinking he was a criminal who was arriving super late because he didn't want to get caught, so he was shopping late at night. So we had a giggle about that, and then I told my co-manager, my coworker, about how I'm was using the SOAR technology because it was about to shut down soon. So it's well, might as well get some use out of it before it shuts down. So yeah. Um, and then after that, I punched out. for work. I said goodbye to my coworker who had left earlier. So I said goodbye to them before I punched out. But then I punched out, washed my hands, said goodbye to my manager. He said he was really proud that I was able to knock those check-ins out much faster today than I was yesterday, and I must say I'm really proud about that too. I think I'm really starting to, kick things up a notch. Normally I'm a bit slow about that, but today I was much quicker, so that felt really good to hear, really encouraging. So I said goodbye, said go home safe. See you tomorrow. I punched out. I walked to my car, drove home, and as soon as I arrived, I was like, well, time to make my update video. So here it is. And what do you know? I did it before 12. The time is currently 11:53. Well, that feels good. All right, that's going to do it for now. Thanks so much for watching. I really do appreciate you taking the time to check in. Pretty cool. I will now go and get ready for bed. So, good night, sleep tight, and take care. Bye, everybody.